it's kind of funny because I can't tell exactly when it goes. So yesterday, like there was this whole part of me being like, do, I'm waiting.
It's definitely live now. I did the same thing yesterday. When I went back to post it later, I was like, oh, it was live for a while. So hi, everyone. Team All on the Line, North Carolina, coming at you live.
Yep.
We are here to recap the first day of redistricting at the North Carolina legislature. I'm Bri.
And I'm Lekha Shupak.
And we'll just jump right in. So it was the first day of map drawing. Lekha, you were there all day long in the building. I was there for a little bit this morning, and then I came home and watched from home. So why don't you just talk a little bit about, what it's like kind of in the building, what's the setup, how'd it go?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because it's both like a lot and also like kind of slow and quiet a lot of the time. So basically the setup is that there is a house committee room set up on the 6th floor of the legislative office building, and that has 4 computer terminals in it that are open from 9 to 5. Legislators can come in as they're free to draw districts. And then the same thing is on the Senate. So like the Senate has a committee room on the 5th floor, which also has 4 terminals open 9 to 5. Legislators can come in and draw whenever they want. And so, keeping track of both of those rooms and all of the different terminals is really tough. I mean, there were a lot of moments of waiting too. When I showed up in the morning, it was like at least an hour, I think, before anything really happened. We were kind of waiting for legislators to show up. But then the rest of the day, there were many, many times when there were, 2, 3, 4 terminals going at once in completely different rooms. I ran up and down the stairs a lot. And so it was, it was pretty hard to keep track of and to kind of monitor what was going on with the way that it's set up there.
Yeah, and it was, similarly when you're watching from home, you can, it's nice that you can open up on the ncleg.gov website. There's a link that takes you to a page with all the live feeds. And it's easy to a little confusing to know like which one's live, and you got to make sure that you're muting them so you don't have them all going at once and figuring out which one is.
Oh yeah, I definitely had all those moments. Like so I actually came home towards the end of the day. So the last hour of the day, like from 4 to 5, I was watching online, and I definitely had those moments where I was like, where is that sound? I can't find the window.
Yeah, I was definitely like in a conference with my kids' teacher this afternoon, and I heard the mappers in the background. I realized that someone had started drawing and I hadn't muted it. But it is available, and they're also on YouTube, so you can watch them on YouTube. So I'm going to try to get them hooked up to my TV at home so I can just like sit and watch redistricting hearings all day. It'll be great.
God, that's going to be so
nice. Yeah,
you're like nerd level is like beyond everyone else if you're watching redistricting on your TV.
Yeah, like the big football TV. So one other thing that definitely became clear was it really stinks that we're not getting like readouts of what happened at the end of the day, because there's a lot of stuff going on, and it'd be really nice to just be able to see.
I mean,
they're printing them out.
Yeah, there are a lot of like shortcomings. Obviously, it's too much for one person to keep track of. If you want to, sorry, my dog is like being really loud. It's too much for any one person to keep track of as far as like what's going on both of those floors with all those different terminals. And also like there's audio in the terminals now, but like obviously when you're in the room, you actually can't hear that. And so like, I think tomorrow I'm going to probably try to bring headphones and listen on my phone while I'm like watching in person. It's just, and you also, I think the other thing that's hard is that we don't always know who is on the terminals. So if I'm there, I can, go and look and see who's drawing, but people who are watching from home have no idea which legislator is using which terminal at all. So
yeah, I was definitely texting you all day, like, who's on terminal 2 in the house? I don't recognize these people yet. Not all of them anyway. But we'll get more familiar, I'm sure. We recognize the chairs for sure. And I just thought before we get into like the real kind of meat of the day, which were a couple of congressional maps that were drawn, I just thought I'd, share a couple of noticings that I had. This is the first time that I really observed this process. And, I thought some things that were interesting were just watching, individual legislators come in and sit down, and they're working with legislative staff who are also just like still learning like how to actually physically, work the program, which is a pretty complicated program, but sitting down and folks realizing for the first time that like, oh, their district is like way overpopulated and they're going to have to cut it down substantially. I think it was Erin Paré came in at one point and was looking at her district and realized that it's like almost 40,000 people over the optimal number. So she's going to have to her district's going to change a lot. And she's sort of like, maybe knew that a little bit, but really seeing it in real time. And then also I was watching Representative Eiler out in Brunswick kind of realize that he was going to have to lose some precincts and kind of going back and forth about like which ones to lose. And, it's pretty interesting. You really are, I think people's intentions are different, but you're definitely seeing sort of the legislators choosing which voters they keep and which ones they let go of. And, it's not ideal, but that's what we're.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, even though we're like told that this transparency is so great, the legislators are still drawing the districts. They're still picking and choosing what they want and what they don't want. I mean, I think in a way, like it, I think in a way, like when this first happened in 2019, which was the first time during the court order redraw where we got to see the drawing, a lot of people were really shocked because they saw that happen. They saw legislators sit down and be like, I want this precinct, I don't want this precinct, and really pick their voters in that way. And I think a lot of people who had been around for a long time were like, well, this is what always happens. But seeing it is different. Seeing them do it is different. I mean, even for me, like having done this a lot up till now, today felt gross, honestly, a lot of the time. Like it felt kind of sick to see people. Like I remember there was this moment where someone was working on, I think, a Senate map or maybe House map, but they were looking at like Havelock, this like 20,000 person town in Craven County. And they were just like dicing it up by census block, okay, can we do it this way? Okay, I don't like that. Let's go back and do it this way. And like just cutting up this town with like zero reference to anything about anyone who lives there or what it's like for them, just based on like what they want the district to look like, but not, just without regard for anything else. It honestly feels gross.
Yeah. I'll be really listening to see if we hear even one reference to like public comment, public input about what folks wanted, because so far we have not seen any of that.
Nope.
No. Okay, so let's talk about, there were a couple of really interesting, is maybe the nicest possible word, for a couple of congressional maps that were drawn by Senator Daniels, who's one of the chairs.
I will say, so one of them was definitely drawn by Senator Daniel. The other one was happening while I was at home. It sounded like Daniel, but like I can't 100% say it was him. It was someone working at the same terminal who sounded like him, but it could have been.
I think Will Doran said it was him in his tweet. He's a reporter, so I think that it was him, but good flag.
Yeah. So I mean, we did see some Senate and House maps being worked on, and if you want to see more about like the documentation that I have of everything that happened today, which obviously I didn't catch everything, it's impossible, but I caught a lot more stuff. And so if you want to go through my Twitter and see some of those other maps being drawn, but obviously the two maps that really stood out today were these two congressional maps, which I mean, were sort of like, it felt like an opening salvo almost, like, like we're going to see how far they want to go with it. And so, yeah, I mean, honestly, pretty shocking, I think, in a lot of ways.
Do you want to share your screen?
I'll go ahead and share my screen, because I pulled some of the images that I pulled together, or that I screenshotted while I was like in the building. See if I can show this. Okay, here we go. All right, can you see that?
Yep.
Okay, so this is the first congressional map that we saw, and this is the part we saw first. Sorry, hold on. I'm gonna put my dog out of the room because she really wants to go outside, but I think she can wait another 10 minutes. Come on, so get out of here.
we'll note while Lekha's doing that, you know, thinking about what we heard in the public hearings about, you know, communities not wanting their counties split, not wanting their communities split, and then just keep that in mind too as we're looking at these initial proposals.
Yeah, yeah. So we saw this map starting out in Mecklenburg County, where Charlotte is. It's one of our 2 largest counties. And as you can see in the picture I'm showing you right now, Mecklenburg is being split 3 ways. I mean, completely unnecessary for population reasons. There's no reason why you would have to do that. It's not current, you know, it's a departure from how it's currently split as well. You know, just I think that was the main thing people commented on right away, like, you're splitting Mecklenburg 3 ways. You definitely don't have to. Why would you do that? And so kind of what we see is sort of like southeastern Mecklenburg going with some suburby counties, or counties to the east at least. There's sort of like a Charlotte district, I guess you would say, although obviously not actually covering all of Charlotte, I don't think. And then you have this weird like strip on sort of the chunk in the north and like a little strip in the west, and it goes out west further. And I think a lot of people were speculating, you know, we've heard rumors, and I think there was that Dallas Woodhouse article a few months ago said that, you know, Speaker Tim Moore is looking to run for Congress, and for that he would need a district. And he, I think, lives in Cleveland County. So this would be a district that he could run in, right? This would be a new district. We don't have a district that's really the equivalent of this right now in our congressional map. And so a lot of people were speculating that the reason Mecklenburg is being split in 3 ways, and the reason it's being drawn like this, is to give Tim Moore a district he can run in. So, I mean, that's messed up regardless of why you're doing it. So you can, this is just to zoom out. You can kind of see that in sort of larger context. And then Wake County. So then they would move on to Wake County, and this is what the split looks like for this map in Wake County. So Wake County is also being split into 3 parts. Again, there's no reason to do this. Like, population is not a reason to do this. It's very not compact. I mean, you have like this weird tentacle coming out of Durham County into Wake. Actually kind of reminds me of the old 4th district. So I for a long time I lived in Chapel Hill, and then I moved to Raleigh, and I stayed in the same district, even though those places are not that close, because there was a district that did the same thing, kind of like was in orange, and then had this like tentacle that like came out and grabbed part of Raleigh. So that's like what they seem to be replicating again. And yeah, they're splitting Wake County in 3 ways. That's just, I mean, I don't think that makes sense to anyone who lives there. It's also just, it's just unnecessary, right? You know, I think that like one of the principles is that we're supposed to be splitting counties as few times as possible. You know, that's one of the values. I think that's one of the things that's in their criteria. And so, you know, well, then why are you doing this? And then this, I wish I had gotten a better picture of this, because you can see there's this like green district that looks to me kind of like a step ladder, or maybe just steps, because it actually, you can't see this in this picture, but it actually starts all the way in Lincoln County. So basically it goes to Lincoln County, which is like, you know, right on the west side of Mecklenburg, all the way up to Forsyth, where Winston-Salem is. You know, sort of shades of our old District 12. You know, we used to have that really, really obviously gerrymandered district that ran down 85 from like Greensboro, Winston-Salem down to Charlotte. And like, this is like that same, it's that same distance going all the way from Winston-Salem to like the Charlotte area. You know, I mean, again, not very compact, and compactness is supposed to be something that they're going to consider. Why would you do this? I don't think people in Winston-Salem want to be in a district with Lincoln County. I don't think that they feel like they have the same interests, but definitely not something anyone asked for during the public hearings. So anyway, that is weird and seems bad. But I'd say maybe the coup de grace of this particular map is this. This is what happened to Greensboro. So Greensboro is now in this district, which they basically scooped the city out of Guilford and went and paired it with like mountain counties. Like I think Wilkes County is in there. Like it's just like all those counties that are way over in the west in the mountains. I mean, Greensboro's not in the mountains, so like what's going on here? And very intentionally followed the lines of the city. So I guess they want to be able to say that they didn't split the city, but I don't think that is going to make anyone who lives in Greensboro happy if they're going to be paired with Wilkes County. Like what do you think you're doing?
No, we specifically heard people in the Forsyth hearing from Greensboro, because there wasn't a Guilford hearing, say that the previous districts that paired Guilford and Wilkes or Watauga did not work, did not make sense.
Yeah.
It seems like they're trolling us here.
Yeah, and again, like Guilford is being split into 3 different districts. Like this is just egregious.
That was one thing that was consistent, no matter whether you wanted, Greensboro and Winston-Salem together. Pretty much everyone we heard from Guilford said, do not split Guilford County. I mean,
yeah. And there's no reason to split Guilford County for population reasons, at least. And then I think the last close-up I'm going to show you of this map is Cumberland County. So Cumberland is currently whole in our current congressional maps, but here it's being split again. And like, this is a really common split in the history of our congressional maps, where the part of Fayetteville is sort of like taken out and put into another district. In the past, it's been used to dilute the voters there. I mean, there's a lot of Black voters there, we know. Definitely a similar feature of lots of gerrymanders in the past. And obviously, again, I'd say that the people probably in Fayetteville were the most vocal about what they wanted to see in their district. And they wanted Cumberland to be the center, to be whole and to be the center of a Sandhills district. And that's not really what we're getting here. I mean, the rest of the Sandhills, so like Hope County, where the majority of Fort Bragg is in a different district, Moore County is in a different district. So they're not getting that Sandhill Center district that I think more than half of the people at that hearing asked for. And here's a zoom out of the map that we saw today. And so you can kind of see that, like, yeah, you have Greensboro is being scooped out and paired with Wilkes County. District 1 also is being really drastically changed. So, it's like a very, like, right now, District 1 has in the past been a VRA district and has sort of maintained very similar outlines for a long time. This would really radically change how District 1 looks, and probably really radically change the makeup, and it probably would no longer have quite as large of a Black population. And so, it'd basically be undoing whatever, VRA district may have been drawn there in the past. So yeah, this is this. And the other thing that I didn't get a close up of that very well, so I didn't share it, but like, it also looks like basically this dark blue district that's on the east, like, goes down and takes a random chunk out of New Hanover, like, just for reasons. So that was another one. But anyway, just like a really nuts map. You can see this like Lincoln County going up to Forsyth, that green step ladder looking thing. Just like a map that, like, I don't know who is happy with this map. Like, I don't know who likes this map. I mean, like, okay, the guy who drew it, Senator Daniel, likes this map, but like, does any normal person like this map?
Anyone who wants to dilute the vote of urban centers might.
Yeah. I mean, I guess, that's your thing. Okay, so I'm gonna go through. I mean, me, I'm such a nerd. Like, I probably belabor these things too much, but I'm gonna try and go a little more quickly through the second map. So towards the end of the day, I think, it's probably like after 4 p.m. we started seeing another congressional map being drawn. I think Bri said that a journalist said it was also Senator Daniel doing another one. And so you can kind of anticipate what it's gonna look like, but it's got its own unique brand of bananas. So this is one of the first things I saw. So this is another version of the congressional map, also splitting Mecklenburg into 3 different districts, and takes North Mecklenburg and pairs it with mountain counties. Like, why? What is going on?
Looks like a chicken leg.
Yeah, right. But like, did anyone who lives in Davidson or Huntersville ask for this? Would any of them want this? No, and actually, in fact, a lot of people who are from that area came to hearings in Mecklenburg. I think some of them came to the Iredell hearing, and they explicitly said, like, we live in this area and we want to be paired with the rest of Mecklenburg because that is like where, you know, we go for activities. That's where we shop. That's where our healthcare is. Yeah, this is the opposite of what they wanted. It also just like makes no sense to any right thinking person. I don't know. And then, you know, this is another version. So instead of having sort of Greensboro itself being like taken out, you have you have Guilford County kept whole, but again, paired with like these really rural counties that, you know, people from the area have told us they don't feel share their interests. And then like I think the thing that bothered me maybe as much as the chicken leg, maybe more about this is this. You see this light blue district here? What is going on with this? So basically, there's like part of Harnett, Lee County, and South Lake. Okay, those things maybe go together. Alamance, that seems a little far away. And then all the way out to Wayne County. Like, what is going on? Like that makes no sense to anyone. You know, like that makes no sense to anyone who lives in any of those places. Like Wayne County probably does not want to be in a district with Alamance. Why? Why would they? It doesn't make sense. So this one is really like, I don't know, just like looking at it, like I feel like I'm gonna get hives because it's wrong. Okay, and then here's a zoom out of this map. So again, you can see Mecklenburg being split 3 ways and Wake being split 3 ways. I didn't get a close up of this, but basically like Cumberland is literally being split down the middle in this. Again, not something the people there wanted, not something that's necessary to do for population reasons. Yeah, just like another real messed up map. So those are the 2 most notable maps that we saw being worked on today, and I'm going to stop sharing.
It definitely feels like they're just trolling anyone who actually is taking this process seriously.
Yeah, I mean, it really just feels like they've gone and listened to everything that's been brought up in past lawsuits, everything that was said by people at public hearings, and been like, let's do the opposite of that, you know, just to mess with people. But except for the fact that like, yeah, okay, that would be one thing, but you know, they very well could enact a map that looks like this, and then we're all going to have to live with it for the next 10 years when it just seriously disenfranchises a lot of people, does the exact opposite what people want in terms of keeping like areas together. I mean, you know, they actually have the power to impose something like this on the people of North Carolina, something that is so contrary to anything that anyone has said that they want.
Yeah, it's completely undemocratic on like multiple levels here.
Yep.
Well, that was day 1. So,
oh my gosh, then there are probably at least 2 weeks of this.
So we'll be watching the process. We'll be recapping it. We'll try to keep them, as concise as we can.
It's so hard. It's so hard. I have so many feelings.
Yeah, well, we're going to share our feelings because, folks need to know what's going on, and we can't expect people to sit there and hurry up and wait for people to start drawing maps. There's going to be a lot of map drawing that's happening, and we'll really try to keep an eye on it and distill down, what you need to know and share it with you around this time every day that they draw maps. Again, if you want to see sort of what's happening in real time, you can follow Lekha Shupek on Twitter. There's also a lot of reporters now are going to be following this. And I'm Bri Bro. I'm also going to be kind of secondarily tweeting. I'm going to try not to, repeat what Lekha's putting out there, but I'll be watching different screens and putting stuff out.
Yeah, we'll try to sort of split up the coverage so we're each covering slightly different things so that, we can, I mean, honestly, 2 people is not enough, but.
Yeah. But we're trying to tweet screenshots, so you can just scroll through. If you're, in a certain part of the state, you can see, we know not everyone's going to be interested in what's happening in like New Hanover, but people in New Hanover need to know. And then we'll be talking about, how we need to respond as this process goes on, once we wrap our heads around, what they're actually doing.
Yeah. Just to kind of go off of that, I mean, if you're on our email list, you're going to be getting stuff from us soon about talking to your legislators about adding hearings after maps are drafted. That was something that people at the public hearings really wanted. Clearly, like if the maps are anything like the maps we saw today, there's going to be a lot that people say, and the legislators need to hear it. They need to at least have the honor to sit in front of people and listen to them say, this is not what I wanted.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I think that's it for today.
Right.
Thanks everyone for watching, and follow us along on Twitter. We'll be back at the State House tomorrow, and we'll see you tomorrow evening with more from Redistricting World.
All right. Good night, everyone. Have a good evening.